Yuno stands near the tall glass window of Jungkook's penthouse office, jaw clenched, posture rigid, eyes burning with the same cold fury his father raised him with. The Seoul skyline behind him glows in the crimson shades of a dying sunset as though the entire city is holding its breath for the argument that is about to erupt inside this room. Jungkook sits behind his massive black marble desk, silent, calm, terrifying. His fingers tap lightly against the polished surface, each tap louder than the last, echoing through the tension thick room like a countdown to an explosion. Mr. Song's words still hang in the air, and Yunu's expression curdled with disgust. I don't want a wedding ceremony. He exhales a harsh, humorless laugh before speaking. His voice is sharp enough to cut glass. He steps forward, eyes locked onto Jungkook's. Even though Jungkook is his father, he does not lower his voice, his gaze, or his pride. Forcing a woman on me wasn't enough for you? Yunu spits the words like venom. Putting my signature on the papers is the most I can do. Jungkook's jaw tightened fractionally, annoyance, not guilt. But he allows Yunu to speak. He always has. He raised a son who can stand face to face with him, not one who bows. Yunu continues. The only wedding I ever wanted was with Sohyun. His breath stuttered. And you robbed me of that. Jungkook's expression goes cold, colder than the winter mornings on the Han River. Yunus coughs bitterly, raking a hand through his hair. Only Soyeon will ever be my bride, ever. He takes a step closer, rage radiating off him like heat. So if you think I'll attend my own wedding, you are poorly mistaken, dearest father. Each word is a bullet. Silence crashes into the room like a tidal wave. Jungkook does not flinch. He simply sits still like a storm waiting to be unleashed. Finally, he said, John and Song Diamonds, both Fortune 500 companies. He begins sharply. And you expect us not to throw a grand wedding? Your future wife is literally in the business of luxury designs. That's what your future wife does for a living, mind you. Yunu cuts in with a vicious laugh. I don't give a damn about her. Jungkook's eyes narrow slightly. Yunu doesn't stop. Least of all, what she does for a living. He moves away from the window, pacing, fury surging through his veins like poison. You can throw the biggest wedding ceremony this country has ever seen. Yunu lifts one finger. But, he says, voice dropping into something quieter, darker. The groom won't be attending. A slow, taunting smirk crosses his lips. Then, without waiting, Yunu turns sharply on his heel and storms out of the office, slamming the door behind him so hard the walls tremble. Jungkook remains motionless. Only his eyes flick towards the door his son just left through. No anger, no sadness, no regret, just cold calculation. He finally stands, his chair sliding back silently as he walks towards the dartboard mounted on the far wall. The moment the door fully clicks shut, thwack, a dart flies from Jungkook's hand so swiftly it slices through the air like a blade. Bull's eye. His jaw flexes, breath steady but sharp. He throws another dart, then another. Each throw sinks with the storm he refuses to show on his face. Rage buried under control, disappointment layered beneath pride. The unspoken truth that everything Yunu said stabbed deeper than either of them will ever admit. The final dart in his hand trembles, not from weakness but from the effort of holding back an explosion we cannot afford. He inhales, he throws, thwack, dead center, silence. Then Jungkook's phone vibrates on the desk. It screens lighting up in the dim glow of the office. He doesn't move yet, just lets the sound echo in the aftermath of everything he's holding inside. His temples were already throbbing, but when he glanced at the caller ID and saw your name flashing across the screen, Song Wyan, the headache only deepened. He let the phone ring twice, breathing slowly, bracing himself. Then he answered. "Hello," he said, his voice low, tired, and dangerously calm. There was a shaky inhale from the other side. "Hi, Jungkook. It's Wyan." Your voice was small, the kind that made a person imagine you holding your breath as if any wrong word would shatter you. His jaw flexed. "Yes, Miss Song," he said, already sensing where this was going. The line rustled softly like you were pacing or fidgeting with something. You paused, swallowing hard. "I just wanted to let you know that I can plan the wedding myself. It won't be a problem." Jungkook stopped walking and pressed his fingers to his brows, trying to ease the pressure gathering behind his eyes. A wedding wasn't something he had the luxury to think about, not when there were enemies circling like wolves. But of course, you didn't know that. All you knew was that you were arranged to a man who barely spoke to you. He shut his eyes. "Yuno doesn't want a wedding ceremony," he said. There was silence so heavy even the static on the phone seemed to pause. Then a soft, confused whisper Jungkook heard. What is he expecting to do then?" He exhaled sharply through his nose, irritated but mostly exhausted. "He just wants to sign the papers," he said bluntly. Silence again, longer this time. He could picture it perfectly. You standing in your room, clutching the phone, trying not to let your disappointment show. He wasn't cruel. He knew what a wedding meant to you. Every girl imagined walking down an aisle, flowers, music, families gathered, the perfect moment frozen like a memory. But Jungkook had built a life where perfection didn't survive. Your voice trembled slightly. Father, Father isn't going to like it." "Thank you for pointing out the obvious, Ryan," he said, not unkind but definitely frustrated. "I appreciate it." There was a soft sigh, tired and helpless, the kind that made Jungkook momentarily open his eyes and stare at the ground. He wasn't sure whether the sigh frustrated him or tugged at something he didn't want to name. He thought he hung up. Truly thought he pressed the button. But before he could pull the phone away, your voice came again, quite breaking a little. "Perhaps this is why I was meant to be a wedding planner," he whispered, "to give other brides the picture perfect wedding that I'll never be able to have." Jungkook froze. For a moment, something shifted in his chest, a quiet ache he refused to acknowledge. He didn't sign up for emotions. He didn't sign up to care whether his decision broke someone, especially not someone gentle like you. But your words were painfully honest, painfully raw, and they settled over him like snowfall. He opened his mouth, searched for something, anything to say, but all he managed was, "Perhaps." The silence stretched, heavy and wounded. Your breath hitched like you were going to say something else, something soft, something hopeful, something he didn't want to hear because he wasn't ready to feel it. Jungkook didn't let you finish. His thumb pressed the red icon. He hung up. After the call, Jungkook stood in the corner of his office, leaning one hand against the glass wall, staring at the rooftops of Seoul far below. The earlier call with you still lingered in his mind like an echo he didn't want to acknowledge. He inhaled, his jaw clenching, and unlocked his phone. There was no avoiding the next conversation. If he didn't deal with Mr. Song now, the old man would call non-stop and Jungkook wasn't in the mood for another emotional outburst or questioning session about the wedding. He pressed the FaceTime icon. The call rang twice before the screen lighted up with Mr. Song Ji-sung's face, dressed in a pristine gold shirt, standing on the lush green field of an elite country club in Korea. Behind him, sunlight glittered off clubs and manicured lawns. The man looked relaxed, comfortable, and absolutely unaware of the storm Jungkook was about to throw into his peaceful evening. "Mr. Song," Jungkook greeted, straightening his posture. "Good evening. I hope you are doing well." "Very well, in fact," he said while adjusting his grip on the golf club. Mr. Song flashed a white grin, wiping sweat from his forehead with a white towel. "To what do I owe the pleasure of getting a video call from John Jungkook himself?" Jungkook didn't like wasting time. If he dragged out the conversation, Mr. Song would find an opening to lecture him, complain, or worse, start worrying about you. So Jungkook took the blunt approach, his tone sharp and firm. "It's about the wedding," he said, not blinking. "There won't be a ceremony." For a moment, Mr. Song froze mid-motion. The golf club dangled from his grip as he slowly turned his head towards the screen, eyebrows lifting in disbelief. He inhaled deeply once, swung the club far back, and with a forceful exhale struck the golf ball so hard it shot high into the sky like a rocket. Then he looked at Jungkook again. "Jungkook," he said, his tone turning serious, "you just told me something I would have preferred not to hear." The man ran a hand through his graying hair, face growing stern. "I have only one child, a daughter. You understand that, don't you?" His voice softened slightly. "Yunwoo is your only child too. He wasn't able to make it to lunch last weekend. I hope there is no trouble." Jungkook's jaw tensed. There was trouble. Inside, though, a darker truth flashed through him like lightning. His son was in love with someone who tried to crawl into Jungkook's bed every chance she got, and the moment Jungkook tried explaining it, Yoonwoo had the audacity to accuse him of seducing her. He nearly threw fist that day, and Jungkook didn't raise hands on family, ever, so he stopped mentioning it. He let Yoonwoo stay blinded by love and lies instead of getting into another war with his own son. But none of that, absolutely none of it, was something he would ever say to Mr. Song. So Jungkook kept his face unreadable. "There is no trouble, Jason," he said calmly. "It's simply that hates weddings." Mr. Song stiffened. "Considering how things were between me and his mother, he doesn't believe in throwing grand celebrations. He prefers keeping things quiet." It was the lie, but a strategic one, and it hit exactly the spot Jungkook intended. Sympathy flickered immediately in Mr. Song's eye, his shoulders relaxing just a little, his grip on the golf club losing. "Ah," Mr. Song sighed. "I do understand. Poor boy. Children carry the weight of their parents' choices." He wiped his forehead again, the setting sun glinting off his wedding band. Then his voice lowered. "But Wyan, she has always dreamed of a grand wedding, one she wanted to plan herself, ever since she was little." Jungkook nodded once. "She is okay with it." The club nearly fell from Mr. Song's hand. She was okay with it?" Jungkook nodded in agreement. Mr. Song took a long breath, his lips pressing into a sad smile, the kind that only fathers with too much love and too little power wore. "Perhaps," he whispered, his voice weighted, "maybe it's because she does not love the boy." He looked away towards the field. "That's why she doesn't care." Jungkook's eyes sharpened at that. He didn't know why the sentence bothered him. It wasn't his business if you loved Yunwoo or not. And yet something twisted quietly in the pit of his stomach, something he didn't want to name. He kept his voice cold. "Perhaps." Without waiting for Mr. Song to continue, Jungkook pressed the red button. He ended the call with the same way he ended yours. The soft evening light spilled into Yunu's penthouse living room, painting the walls with a warm golden hue. Yunu sat on the couch, leaning back, eyes on the city skyline, while Soyun rested comfortably beside him, her head on his shoulder, scrolling mindlessly through her phone. The room was calm, almost too calm, considering the storm that had been raving between all of them these past weeks. Yungo cleared his throat softly, attempting to break her focus. "Where are you supposed to marry Park So-hyun?" he asked, his tone casual but laced with an edge he didn't bother hiding. So-hyun didn't reply at first. She simply continued scrolling her perfectly manicured nails, tapping rapidly against the screen. "Look at Izzy," she muttered, squinting at a photo. "She still can't get rid of that weight. I swear some people have no discipline." Gently but firmly reached over, sliding the phone out of her hand. "I asked you something," he said. "When is the wedding?" She pouted, crossing her arms dramatically like a child whose toy had been taken away. "I told you already," she said. "The 15th of June. I asked Daddy to make it big, really big." Stiffened, his jaw tightening. "You are really going to have a full ceremony?" Soyeon blinked at him, confused. "Of course, a wedding is every girl's childhood dream, If I can't have the groom I want, then I will at least have the wedding I want." Her honesty hit him like a punch to the chest. Yunwoo looked away, trying to process the contradictions. She wanted him, wanted to be with him, yet wanted a grand wedding. Wedding with someone else, wanted both worlds, wanted everything. He dragged his hand over his face. "Right," he murmured. "Because that makes sense." She frowned. "Don't start, Yunwoo. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just accepting what I can't change. My dad wants the Park marriage, and I can't fight him on everything." Yunwoo let out a humorless laugh. "But you can fight me on everything, right?" Soyeon's eyes narrowed. "Don't twist my words." He sighed and looked at her again, studying her expression carefully. The carefully masked frustration, the entitlement, the shallow sadness. "So you want your big ceremony," he said quietly. "Fine, you can have it." She turned sharply towards him. Her tone softened. "You know what's wrong with having a ceremony? It's not like I'm asking you to marry me right now. No, you are just asking me to pretend your wedding doesn't bother me." His voice held a tight bitterness he didn't try to hide. She scoffed. "Why would it? You are going to marry Song Wyan anyway." The name made Yuno flinch, and So Yun noticed instantly. Her lips curled into a small smirk. "See," she said lightly, "even saying her name irritates you. You think I don't know that?" Yunwo leaned back, arms crossed, eyes narrowing dangerously. "That's exactly why you shouldn't care about my wedding. If I'm being thrown into a marriage I never asked for, then I deserve at least one thing that I do choose." She raised her eyebrows. "You mean me?" He didn't respond. He didn't have to. She shifted closer, her voice gentler now. "Yunwoo, I know things are messy. I know you are angry about the arranged marriage. But what do you want me to say?" He looked away. "Nothing," he said bluntly. "Because it won't matter. The moment the papers are ready, my father will drag me to sign them." Soyeon sighed dramatically. "Well, at least you won't have to stand in front of 1,000 guests," she said. "That girl should That girl should be grateful she's getting anything at all. She's lucky she's marrying into the Jian family. Yunus snapped his gaze towards her with a glare. Don't talk about her like that. Soyun blinked, surprised. Why not? It's not like you like her. He didn't answer. Soyun let out a slow breath. Fine. Her tone softened again, but her eyes remained sharp. Do what I want, you know. Hate the wedding, hate the ideas, hate the girl, I don't care. But don't take out your anger on me because I'm having the ceremony you won't get. Yunus stared at her, tension flooding his chest, but he said nothing. He couldn't, because for once she wasn't entirely wrong. Still, he muttered under his breath, that girl is getting nothing from me. She will wish she never married me. So Yoon's eyes glimmered with pride, approval, and something darker. Good, she said softly. That's how it should be. And Yunwoo leaned back, the weight of expectations, broken dreams, and tangled loyalties crashing down on him in suffocating silence, while the city lights slowly blinked alive outside.